Hey everyone, Butch Hartman here, and I am thrilled that we are starting our webinar right now. The four keys to unlocking the storyteller inside you. And this is exciting for me. I've been looking forward to this, been developing this course for a long time, or this idea of this teaching for a long time. I've been in this business for over like 30 years now, 35 years, and it's been so exciting to not only still be in the business, but to be able to do what I love every single day. And that's what I want for each and every one of you. I want each and every one of you to do what you love for a living. I know we have a lot of creative people signing on here. And do me a favor, when you come on, I see all these people coming in. I'm so glad you're here. When you guys are in, let's hear where you're from. Put down your location in the chat. Put down one of your favorite shows that I've done. If you have a favorite show I did, I'd love to hear what it is. I'd love to hear what you're into, what you like. Are you a writer? Are you an artist? Are you a musician? What do you like? And I'm super thrilled. I see so many people coming on. This is so exciting. You guys are such loyal fans and you are dedicated to making your career a reality. And that's what I love. I love people that are dedicated, not just saying it, that they actually want to do it. You all actually want to do what it is that you say you want to do. And that's it takes work. Everything I'm going to talk about tonight takes work. It's great to have you all here. I know a lot of you are fans, and that means the world to me. I couldn't be more excited that you're here and that I am, someone that you may have followed over the years, and maybe you enjoy my work, and that means the world to me. I still want to keep doing great work for you guys, and I still want to keep doing stuff that entertains you. But what I really want out of this webinar today is I want you, that's right, you out there, I want you to understand what it takes to get an entertainment career off the ground. Now, everything I'm about to say is how I did it, because I'm going to talk about my story. Here's the basics of what I did to get my career off the ground. Your story is going to be different, although a lot of the same elements may apply. You're going to find there's a lot of the same elements that we're going to have in common. There's going to be a desire that you have. There's going to be determination. There's going to be choices made. And there's going to be a lot of trial and error. A lot of things where you're going to, some things are going to work perfectly, some things aren't. And, it's going to be, again, it's like anything in life. We all wish it would go fantastic, but at the end of the day, it's one of those things where we're just glad to get there, no matter how we got there, as long as it's in a good way, an uplifting way. So, without further ado, I see so many people have come on. Boy, this is great. Again, keep telling me your location. Let me know. Maybe which one of my shows you've seen the most. If you've got a favorite moment or a favorite, line of dialogue, that'd be great. And I really want to know what you want to do in your life. I really want to know what it is, what career you're hoping to get. Also, tell me your age. I want to know how old you are. Where are you in your career journey? Are you like, in your 20s? Are you in your teens? Are you in your 50s like me? Let me know where you are. I want to let you know too, it doesn't matter how young you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can always get your career started or get it restarted. And that's the best part. There's three P's I talk about: passion, patience, and persistence. The passion to be pursuing the idea, the patience to know that it takes some time, takes some learning, takes some preparation, and persistence, the desire to keep going, the knowledge you got to keep going and keep after it. It is only through persistence that you're going to achieve what you want. And the only one that can stop you is you. Okay, so that being said, I'm grateful you guys are all here, and more people are going to be coming on as we go. And I couldn't be more excited to get this going. And if you guys don't know, I have a brand new Instagram as well, Butch Hartman Art Academy. Go follow that on Instagram right now if you haven't done that yet. And you guys know my other Instagram, my original Instagram, Butch Hartman. I'm also on TikTok as Butch Hartman and on YouTube as Butch Hartman as well. They were having Butch Hartman auditions and I got the part. So anyway, all right. So I'm gonna share my screen. I'm going to bring up a presentation that's going to tell you guys all about my history. And I'll give you as much as I can right now, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to work the sharing the screen. Also, I've got an amazing team that's helping me today. So say hi to my team out there. Say hi, Butch Hartman team. They would love to hear from you, and they'll be helping me monitor this as we go. So here is my um, presentation, and we're going to start with the four keys to unlocking the storyteller inside you. And everyone in the chat, everyone in this webinar right now is a storyteller. If you're a creative person and you want to have a career in entertainment, you're a storyteller. You have the desire to tell a story. You could be a writer, you could be an artist, you could be a singer, you could be a dancer, you could be a musician. I don't care what you are. You are capable of telling a story. And think about it. Everything that we do in entertainment is all about storytelling. All of it, no matter what medium you work in. Think of all the movies that you like. What is it about the movies that you like? You like them because the story's fantastic. And those are the movies you always go back to. Did you see this movie? If you walk out of a movie that really affects you, it's going to really, really going to be, something that sticks with you, and you want to talk about it over and over again. So, the stories are great. Characters mean a lot, but you're a storyteller, and there are things inside of you that I'm going to help you unlock. Again, it's going to be different for everybody, but I think there's four essential elements where we're going to start, and I'll give you a little bit of my history here. So we'll start with my name. Hello, I'm Butch Hartman, and that's a very handsome caricature of me that one of my artists did for me years ago. I just love using that as an icon, and I think it's pretty funny. So I'm Butch Hartman. Nice to meet you. I'd love to hear your name. Put it in the chat. I think a lot of you already have, but I'd love to just have you guys, learn a little bit more about who I am. So I'm Butch Hartman, and I want to ask you a question. What do you love to do? What do you love to do? And I asked this because when I was young, I loved to draw. And I loved to, I loved to tell stories. I loved comic books. I loved movies, all that stuff. So I want to ask you out there, and I hope you have something to write with. I have a notepad right here. I hope you have a notepad as well. And maybe you haven't thought of this before, but really, what do you love to do? I want you to think about that as we go. You can answer that question later or put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. So what do you love to do? I want to say this. That's what you should do for a living. Whatever it is you love to do, I'll go back. What do you love to do? And what do you do that no one ever has to ask you to do? Like, uh, where can I find John? I can always find John doing blank, whatever that is, right? So whatever it is you love to do is what you should do for a living. Why not? That's my other question to you. Why not? Why not do what you love for a living? That's what you should do for a living. What are your greatest obstacles? And I want you to write those down too. I want you to write down what you love to do. And I want you to write down just off the top of your head. Don't have to go write a novel right now, but like, what are some of your greatest obstacles? Is it fear? Is it money? Is it family? Sometimes family can be an obstacle. Maybe you're afraid to move away from your family, or maybe, family stands in the way, or maybe I'm not saying anything like that, but like, what are your greatest obstacles? We all have an obstacle that we think is standing in our way. Is it distance? Is it time? Is it age? I don't know what it would be, but think about that. What are your greatest obstacles? And write those down. And there's a reason I'm having you write things down, and we'll talk about that later. What is your ultimate goal? A lot of you probably haven't even thought about that. Some of you are so very young, you might not even know what your ultimate goal is. You think you know what your goal is. There's probably a great goal out there that you think is a goal, and that's great. But there might be another goal that comes up 10 years from now. You never know. I know when I was younger, I didn't want to have children. You know what I mean? But then I started having kids and wanted to be the greatest dad ever. That wasn't a goal that I had. But then once I had children, I wanted to be a great dad. So goals can change. But one thing is, I always wanted to be an animator. I always wanted to be a cartoonist and an artist and things like that. What is your ultimate goal? That is an important question for you. So this is my story. Here's a little bit of my backstory. Now, there's a lot of gaps in this story because I can't tell you everything because that would be a long time. I'm 59 years old, but I do want to tell you how I began. How did I get into the entertainment industry? right? How did I get into this industry? Because I think it's important that you know, because I'm just like you. I came from somewhere, had a family. I wasn't in the entertainment industry. No one in my family was in the entertainment industry. I had zero clue how to do it, but somehow or another, some way, here I sit in the entertainment industry, having the career that I've had. So I just wanted to show you this to tell you that I'm just like you, and you can do the same thing. So here we go. This is my story. I am from the state of Michigan. All right, this is an interesting picture of Michigan that I found. And if you look at the city, if you look at the state of Michigan, in the thumb area of the mitten, I'm from the Detroit area down by the bottom right. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I was born in a town called Highland Park, Michigan. And Michigan is not known for its entertainment industry. It's not known for being the entertainment capital of the world. It's a great state. It's a beautiful state. It's mostly known for its auto manufacturing. Mostly, if you think of Detroit, you think of auto manufacturing, cars and things like that. About 120 years ago, that's really what it was known for. In fact, it's been known for that for a long, long time, but it was really the hub of automotive technology. And my family were heavily involved in the auto industry. My dad worked for General Motors, my uncles, my aunts, they all worked in the car industry in some way. I was the only one in my entire family that was a cartoonist and that wanted to, be in the movies and do comic books and all that type of thing. So I was what you call kind of a unicorn. I was a unique individual. Maybe you're like that as well. I'm sure you are. So let's see. I'm from Michigan. And I grew up in a house where there was a lot of struggle and even less success. Perhaps that's your story as well. I won't go into the struggle, but we were a family. We were probably lower middle class. Nothing wrong with that at all. It just was one of those things where every day seemed like it was kind of hard. And I know that's a story a lot of people can relate to. It certainly, as a kid, you don't really understand the difference between your life and anybody else's. You just think, oh, this is just the way life is. Then I started to see that life could be whatever I wanted it to be, but it just depended on how I made certain choices. Because I saw the choices other people made, I grew up wanting to make different choices, and maybe that's the situation you find yourself in as well. But I grew up in a home where there was a lot of struggle, even less success, and it seemed like every day was just hard to get by. But I had a choice. I had a choice. I could stay in that struggle or I could get out of it. And that's a choice that you have too. You have the same exact choice. I could stay in the struggle or I could get out of it. And even as a young person, 8, 9 years old, I could see that, okay, this is a situation that isn't ideal. But as a young person, I didn't know how to get out of it. And perhaps even as an older person, you're sitting there not knowing how to get out of your situation. And maybe in some cases, you don't have to get out of the situation, you just have to adjust the situation. We can talk about that as well. So I had a choice to stay in the struggle or get out of it. You have the same choice. Everyone has a different challenge, but here's the key part. They can all be overcome. Every challenge that you face can be overcome. And you know that. I think you know that. But sometimes we see that challenge and it gets very intimidating. It gets very daunting. And we go, well, I see the challenge ahead of me, but I'd rather turn around and go this way because it's easier. I'd rather not face that. And believe me, all of us face that. We all face challenges, but it's the ones who win are the ones who face the challenges because it's in the facing of the challenge that you'll start learning how to overcome it. Then it won't be a challenge anymore. Think of the things that scared you when you were 5. They don't even phase you now. Like that doesn't even bother me anymore because you got over it. Okay, so I've loved drawing since I was a little boy. I just love to draw all the time. I started drawing in kindergarten. I had to draw a picture of our teacher. The teacher made all of us draw a picture of her. So I drew this picture of the teacher, kindergarten. And I just went back to my work. I finished my picture, and then my teacher started raving about my picture, like, "Oh, this is the most amazing picture." And I kept looking up, going, "What is she?" And she kept pointing at me and smiling. And she went and even went down the hall and showed other people. And then other teachers came in. It was like, so weird that I was being recognized for this drawing. And I realized as a little kid, wow, I can get attention from adults by doing this drawing thing. So it kind of birthed an interest in drawing for me at that point. So maybe there's been a situation in your life where someone has given you some praise for something. Maybe it's something you should look into. I love drawing since I was a little boy. During the struggle of my childhood, here's what I was influenced by. Ready? Here was the big influence. Saturday morning cartoons in the 1970s. Saturday morning cartoons, I would watch them obviously on Saturday morning, but I loved Saturday morning. And back when I was a kid, that was really the only place to see a ton of cartoons regularly. There was no internet. You could see some cartoons after school. When you'd come home, there'd be like an hour of cartoons on and stuff like that. But Saturday morning, you'd watch like 5 hours of cartoons right in a row. But then when the cartoons went away, you couldn't really watch them anymore. You had to wait till the next week. I know that seems bizarre to everybody out there. We had to wait to watch programming. That's bizarre. But that was a time that did exist. So I loved Saturday morning cartoons. Perhaps you do as well. And I started to like look at them and I would draw them. I couldn't freeze the screen, obviously. We didn't have any sort of technology that allowed us to freeze the image. So I would actually sit and I would draw the characters as fast as I could to practice them. And these are some of the characters I would practice. Fred Flintstone, Bugs Bunny, Yogi Bear. In fact, they even got Bugs Bunny wrong in this picture. They don't have his gloves on. So Tom and Jerry, the Jetsons, all those characters I would practice. You can probably see some of them reflected in my style today. So Saturday morning cartoons gave me something very, very cool. Not just entertainment, they gave me a vision. Now I couldn't articulate it then. I couldn't say, "Oh, it's giving me a vision" when I'm, 9 years old. But it gave me something to be excited about, something to look forward to. And so it gave me a vision. I want to ask you this: what gives you a vision right now? What are you into? What do you like? What gives you a vision? What do you want to be a part of? What is it about your love of whatever it is that makes you excited to do that? Like, oh, I really love pottery, or I love sports, or I love music. What is it? And just think about how excited you get when you're around it and you want to be a part of it. So how can you get to be a part of it? So I was influenced by this as well. Uh, Looney Tunes, all the Bugs Bunny cartoons, Foghorn Leghorn, Daffy Duck, and all that kind of stuff. So much fun. Chuck Jones. I love Tex Avery cartoons. When I was a kid, to me, they were some of the funniest and most well-directed cartoons. To me, I think they still are to this day. And these were all cartoons that were made for movie theaters because TV didn't exist at that point. So I loved these cartoons because these would be shown on after school when I was a kid. You'd come home after school and they would show these cartoons, and they were so much fun for me to watch. I look at the drawing, look at the timing, I'd look at the comedy, I'd look at the story. Again, going back to story, this is a webinar about story. We're going to get there. I'd watch Hanna-Barbera cartoons all the time. This really influenced me a lot because these were the cartoons that were on the most on Saturday morning. Hanna-Barbera sort of ruled the entire Saturday morning kingdom. They had the most cartoons on. And I just want to go back and say this. Your stories that you're going to tell, whether it's on stage, whether it's through music, through art, through animation, they're influencing somebody. Your stories influence somebody. So I want you to think to yourself, who am I influencing by these stories I want to tell? And think about this too, 20, 30 years down the road, how will these stories influence people? We need to think beyond where we are now. What's the legacy do you want to leave? And we'll talk about that too. Obviously, Disney was a huge influence in my life, but I couldn't really watch a ton of Disney cartoons. This might sound odd because the only time you could see Disney features was in a theater, and they wouldn't come out very often. So I couldn't just watch them on TV at random. You had to wait till they came in the theater. You could watch The Wonderful World of Disney on Sundays, but they wouldn't show a lot of cartoons. They'd show a lot of their live action wild adventure stuff on Sundays. So that was kind of fun. And let me see. So Disney was a huge influence for me as well. And the influence of those studios, okay, growing up as a little kid and growing up and finding my way and learning what it was I want to do. The influence of all those studios made me want to move to California. Now, just because I wanted to move to California, I'm from Michigan now, right? And no one in my family had ever been to or lived in California. So when you're a kid and you're watching TV in Michigan in the and it's snowing outside. And this is the 70s, right? I'm watching TV and I'm watching all these shows that take place in, California. And I would see images like this, these beautiful palm trees, but I'm sitting in the snow and I would think, how do I get there? How do I get there? And how do I get to that place? And you can't just click a button and appear in California. I'm wondering, how's the kid from Michigan get to California like that? How do I do that? And plus, when no one could give me any advice, I didn't really have any advice from anyone in the family. No one really could think about it. I had a lot of support from my family, though. My dad was very supportive. Um, my family was very supportive. Hey, we'll help you pursue your dream, whatever you want. We'll try and make it happen. We have no idea how, but whatever you need from us, we'll help you. So I ended up applying to, I discovered this school and I applied to, I was a young boy in Michigan, had no dream. I had a dream. I did have a dream. I had no idea how to get it on a screen, is what I was just saying to you. And I want to point out something else. You have to get out of your comfort zone. I mean, this was me in my comfort zone. See the kid on the floor down there in the snow, like I was? That was my comfort zone. I was home, was in my house, and I'm watching TV. And I knew I wanted to get to California. But how do I do that? I had a dream. I had no idea how to get it on a screen. I had to get out of my comfort zone. And I'm here to uh, point this out to you. You need to get out of your comfort zone. You need to get out of it. I think you've been in it long enough. The reason it's the comfort zone is because it's very comfortable. We've been there for a very long time. What I like to encourage, as I got this picture of this dude leaving his comfort zone, you leave the comfort zone and then you go somewhere that's unknown. It's a little scary. I know that things can be a little intimidating, but then you go and you create another comfort zone. Now you got two comfort zones, right? Now you have two places that are familiar to you as opposed to just one. You become what's called unlimited. See, in your comfort zone, you're very limited. When you step out of the zone, you could become a lot more unlimited, and the possibilities are endless. Okay, this is all about possibilities. It's all about taking a chance. Look at this image of this guy I put here. He's stepping out. That's taking that step might be something you need to do, might be something you need to think about. Think of those obstacles we just wrote down, right? How can you overcome those obstacles? They might seem really big, but I guarantee you they'll get smaller as you take those steps. I want to ask you this too. Where are you from? I was from Michigan. Where are you from? Where are you from? Is it possible to leave your comfort zone? Is it possible to leave your situation? Is it possible to change your circumstances? You have to ask yourself that. And listen, I'm asking this of people who signed up for this webinar wanted to be storytellers. As storytellers, your stories are going to be far more effective and far more amazing if you have another comfort zone to go to. So anyway, let's keep going. So I moved to California. I went to an art school. It was one of the only schools that taught character animation. I actually got it was a long story how I got to California, but I'm skipping that for now. I moved to California at age 18. I was 18 and I graduated high school, went to California, went to one of the only schools that taught character animation. I went to Cal Arts in Valencia, California. And they had an amazing character animation school that I really, really learned a lot from. I learned a lot from the teachers and a lot from the other students. Made a lot of great connections. I attended there for 3 years. I made a lot of connections. I couldn't afford my fourth year of school, but I did realize, because I just couldn't afford it. Look, I can draw a little. If I can draw, I can get a job. So I left school at my third year and I went to seek a job. I began working in the Hollywood animation industry in 1986. My first job was at Marvel Productions. Yes, they had an animation studio in 1986. And I was so excited. I'm thinking I'm going to be drawing superheroes, the Hulk, Iron Man, Captain America. Guess what show I worked on? My very first show, My Little Pony. That's right. My Little Pony was the first show I worked on. And I actually got fired because I couldn't draw the ponies well enough. That is another story. I really realized that I needed to up my skill set, needed to change the game and get better at things. That's what I needed to do. So I needed to get better. Maybe you're in a situation where you realize you need to get better. I know for me, I needed to get better at what I did. That's what I needed. So I realized that I got fired, had to find another job. That's a whole other story. But I knew I needed to up my skill set. When I got hired at Marvel, I was a great character designer. I got hired as a character designer, but then they put me on storyboards, which I couldn't do for the My Little Pony. So I couldn't do the My Little Pony storyboards. I wasn't trained. So I got fired. So I realized I got to start learning how to do storyboards. I need to get better at this. So that's what I started endeavoring to do. Um, I was sitting at my animation desk. Now, after 15 years in the industry, sitting at my animation desk, and an executive at Nickelodeon called me and asked me if I had an idea for an animated series. Now, this is about 10 years later. I'm in the industry about 10 years. Asked if I had an idea for an animated series. I said, yes, I do. Hung up the phone. I had nothing. I had no idea. And this is a producer friend that I knew, right? And I had nothing. I had no idea for him, but he was offering me a chance to pitch a show to Nickelodeon. Now I want to ask you, what would you do in that situation? You're sitting at your desk. I was at Hanna-Barbera, Cartoon Network at the time. A friend from Nickelodeon calls me, offers me a chance to pitch, says, you have any new ideas? I said, yes, hung up the phone, had nothing. Do I say no and run away? I can't do it. Or do I take the chance? It was an opportunity. It was an opportunity. I want you to write that word down if you have something to write with. Write down the word opportunity because opportunities are going to come. I always say opportunities are like comets, C-O-M-E-T, comets, right? They're very beautiful and they're very, very amazing, but they don't come around very often. And it might be a very long time until you see another one. Opportunity. If you want something in this business and an opportunity comes up, you get into it, you do it to the best of your ability. Even if it fails, at least you tried and you learned. You're never going to get worse if you try. Okay. So I needed what we all need when the opportunity came up. I needed boldness and courage. Don't let your heart be troubled. Don't be afraid. I needed what we all need, boldness and courage. Maybe you've got a lot of it. Maybe you've got a little of it. If you have some, share it with me. I still need some. Boldness and courage. I also needed a job. That was a great motivator. I had to have an idea in 3 days. So I sat down and in 15 minutes, I came up with these characters. It was really 15 minutes. The Fairly Odd Parents. I came up with this idea in 15 minutes. It's a much longer story. I've got videos on it on YouTube. You can find them there on TikTok. But The Fairly Odd Parents premiered in 2001 and ended up running on Nickelodeon for over 18 years with new episodes. That is an incredible story. It's a very good story. It's a much longer story, but I can't tell you the whole thing now because I got more to talk about. But if you're Fairly Odd Parents fans, know that after many years of trying to pitch shows, this idea hit me. Fortunately, it didn't take long to come up with it, but it did take a long time to get it going. Much longer story. But anyway, that's the brief part of that. My next series, Danny Phantom, premiered in 2004, ran for 3 seasons. My third show, Tough Puppy, premiered on Nickelodeon in 2010. And my fourth show, Bunsen is a Beast, premiered in 2016. All of these shows have their own stories, how they got started, the challenges that were presented by each one. Each one was a giant rock I had to push up a hill. And I'm just here to tell you right now, everything in your entertainment career is going to be a rock you push up the hill. But pushing the rock makes you stronger. And eventually it goes over the hill and the career is off and running. But it's like any career. Anything you want to do is going to be hard, right? Especially in entertainment, because there's no real roadmap. Everybody gets into it differently. Creatively, it's all different, right? For everybody. But the rewards are very, very, very amazing once you get them going, which is why everybody tries so hard to get into this industry. Let's keep going. So my duties and experiences on all of my shows were this. I created all of them. I pitched and I sold all of them. I negotiated all the financial deals regarding them. I was heavily involved in all the writing, art, animation, voice directing, editing, and music. And I wrote all my own theme songs. So how do you do all that? Well, a lot of it comes one thing at a time. It's one experience at a time. When I was asked, you want to write your own theme song? I could have said no. I never written a theme song before, but I went, yeah, I'll give it a try. Because I always wanted to make a great theme song. When someone said, hey, can you be involved in the music? Do you know how to sit with the musician and help him with the music on the show? Can you walk him through? I'd never done it before. Sure, I can do that. I took every opportunity that came to me because I wanted to learn, number one, because I wanted to know that it was when my shows were handed to me, when I was able to get a show in the air, I knew it was my responsibility. and I wanted to sink or swim with me. And I also wanted to be able to do the job in case anybody else dropped the ball. Because when you're hiring people to work on your shows, they're going to have different skill sets, different abilities, all these different things. And if you're going to have to know how to do their jobs too, number one, so you can see if they're good at it. And number two, if they, for some reason, can't do it, you can do it. So learn everything you can, increase your skill set, write that down too. Okay, so um, I was at Nickelodeon until 2018. I left Nickelodeon to pursue my own productions, to begin doing my own thing. I dove very heavily into social media. So for the last 6 years, I have been building my social media. I have a TikTok following of 2.4 million followers. I have a YouTube following of 864,000. I have an Instagram following of 236,000 and a Facebook following of 398,000. Growing all the time, excited to keep it growing, but social media takes work too. Social media is like making a movie every day, making content every day, making videos every day, having ideas every day, telling stories every day. If you like to tell stories, get on social media. It's like having a free movie studio in your hand. These days, I tell people all the time, you want to impress me with your filmmaking skills? Let me see a YouTube. Let me see your YouTube, make some content. Let's see it. That way I can tell if you're any good at what you do. By the way, everyone at the beginning isn't going to be good. You're not going to get good till you do it for a while. So don't think you're going to be great the minute you start. It all takes work, guys. It really does. Um, I After I left Nickelodeon, I created a series called Hobby Kids Adventures for an independent company, and made this show for them. It's on YouTube, based on a YouTube family called the Hobby Kids. Did fantastic on YouTube. Was able to do that. Super fun. Created and conceived this whole show. And then I created a show called The Garden. It's a Christian show I've developed and is now on at a bunch of different streamers. We're going to be going very wide very soon. This is a Christian show for kids, teaches kids the Bible. You can get it on our Garden app and go to gardencartoon.com and check it out there. But it's a great way for me to keep sharpening my storytelling skills, for me to keep doing all of this storytelling that I love so much. And I saw a gap in the Christian marketplace, and I wanted to add to it. I think there should be more awesome Christian shows for kids. So that's the next cartoon I developed. And I love to create characters that create character. Let that sink in. I create characters that create character. What are you creating that's going to create character in somebody else? Are you going to help them or hurt them by your creations? I know you're going to help them, but my point is, we have influence. Once you get something up on that screen, it's influencing somebody. So you have to be very, very, very cognizant of what you're putting on that screen. Let that sink in as well. I'd ask you to write down the word cognizant, but I don't know how to spell it. Okay. So my calling in life, I realized, was to entertain and inspire. That's my calling. What is your calling? Write that down. What is my calling? You need to write that down. What is your calling? What are you called to do? Everyone's called to do something. And don't say, well, I don't really think I have a calling. You absolutely do. You just probably haven't discovered it yet, or maybe you've kind of known what it is all along, but you're afraid to pursue it. And that's okay. We all get that way. But you do have a calling. Nearly every day, some young person comes up to me and tells me that I made their childhood. And I can't tell you how much that means to me. It means the world to me when I hear that. You made my childhood. I'm going to all these comic book conventions now this year. Maybe you've seen it on my social media. I'm on this Comic-Con tour, 14 cities this year. I've done 7 of them already. And pretty much every person says, you made my childhood. You were part of my childhood. Thank you for my childhood. And it just means the world to me. I'm so grateful. Here's some screenshots of people saying, thank you for the childhood. Thanks for my childhood. I just wanted to show you some of that. I think it's so cool. I've been a fan of you a long time. I love your show. It's a blessing, and I'm super grateful. I don't take any of it for granted. If you're here, you're an influencer. Wait, if you have an influence over something, you have a calling. What is it? You have an influence over something and you have a calling. What is it? What is in your hand right now? What are you poised to do right now? How can you influence people so they come to you in 20 years and say the same thing? You might not be in Hollywood right now. You might not have a show right now. You might not even be in a position where you're thinking you can influence anybody right now. But I guarantee you there's people around you that are watching you and they're watching your journey. What's in your hand right now? What are you capable of doing? Are you a cook? Make a cooking video. Are you a musician? Make a songwriting video. Are you a writer? Show people how to write a script. Show them how you're developing something. People need to see what you're working on because you're going to influence somebody. And by the way, I got news for you. Not everybody's going to like it, but a lot of people will. Every artist has to hang their picture on the wall eventually. Okay. Let's see how we're doing here. Da, 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 da. Okay. We are salt and light. What does that mean? Salt and light. Think of those two words. Salt and light change whatever atmosphere they enter. Salt changes things, light changes things. As entertainment creators, we need to be atmosphere changers. You can be an atmosphere changer. What will you create? Your legacy will be determined by the choices that you make. There's people coming after you guys that are going to be influenced by all the decisions you make right now. You're making decisions right now that will affect your family for the rest of their lives. As a parent, if you're a parent, you see what I'm talking about. If you're not a parent yet, still you're affecting people that'll come after you. So think about that. Your influence is going to move somebody. Whether you're a filmmaker, an author, a teacher, producer, a politician, your story will be told somewhere by someone. What legacy will you leave? Write that word down, legacy. Write it down. What's the legacy you're going to leave? There's a kingdom in every seed that you plant, meaning every idea that you have, there's an empire waiting to be born. Every empire starts with one brick. Every forest starts with one seed. Every one of your amazing creative dreams starts with that one idea. Don't forget that. Be bold. Be courageous. Use your vision wisely. You've been gifted. Use it wisely. Go move some people. Now let's get into the 4 keys to unlocking the storyteller inside of you. So that was my story. That was my journey. And that's a very condensed version of my journey. Obviously, we could talk for hours about all of our journeys, of course, right? So 4 keys to unlocking the storyteller inside you. Here are 4 premier elements I believe will make you into a better storyteller. Okay, I'm going to give you the 4 of them. There's a bunch more, but I landed on these 4 because I think they're very, very, pardon the pun, key to unlocking what it is you need as a storyteller. Okay, we're going to move on. So connection. Connection is the first key. Write that down. Connection. Okay. Understanding the importance of connecting with your audience. And that's huge. Connecting. Every story you ever loved in your life, you were an audience for that story, right? You were an audience member. You were sitting there and boy, it hit you right here. And you couldn't stop thinking about that story. You're like, man, oh man, I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop thinking about that story. How did they connect? And the way you connect with an audience is asking, who is your audience? Who is your audience? I mean, are you wanting to write a preschool show, yet you're writing adult dialogue that's, only for 45-year-old people? You've got to think about who you're making a story for. Is the story for you and you alone, or is it for a wide audience or a niche audience? Think about that. Your story is going to resonate with somebody, and who is it going to resonate with? You'll see a lot of these big movies come out that fail. Their audience was all these breakdowns of who their audience was, but sometimes when they make a movie and they know that audience, whammo, they hit it right in the bullseye, and that movie just explodes and goes through the roof because they knew their audience. So how do you know who your audience is? It's trial and error. You might be a man who's 6'4", but you write, shows for little kids. That might just be your audience. And so you've got to learn about that audience. You got to learn what they like. You got to study them. You might be, an older woman who's writing stuff for people who love sports. I don't know. It's just knowing that audience. Again, that's why I go back to the beginning of this webinar. What do you love to do? What do you love? Find out who your audience is. So connection is one of the keys. Let's go back and look at it. Connection, understanding the importance of connecting with your audience. How do you connect with your audience? Well, they have to relate to what you're saying. They have to relate to the story, you know. There's certain stories I'm going to relate to a lot better than other stories. Same with you. So who's your audience? Next is curiosity. We have connection. Next is curiosity. Being curious about the world around you and communicating curiosity through your story. Here's a great way to communicate curiosity when the audience is going, what's going to happen next? What happened? What happens? Don't give it all away at the beginning. You need to know. If you. I'm not saying you have to write a thriller or a mystery, but you have to engage the audience so they're invested in that character. And character is going to be on here. I should have put as one of the top four, but I chose two others. You'll see. Um, being curious about the world around you, being curious about the world around you, and communicating curiosity through your story. So why is the audience even watching your show or your movie? Are you curious about what you're saying? Is the audience curious about the story you're telling? Are you engaging them? Are you telling the story in a way where you unveil piece after piece in an engaging way? Or is it so boring because you're talking too much? Or you're not saying anything? Or they don't understand the story because it's not clear, right? That's another one we should put on here too is clarity, character, clarity, curiosity, connection. That's four right there, but there's two more I want to talk about. Clarity, I can't even stress how important clarity is. Clarity means the audience understands the story, they're following along, they're not confused, and they love it. If you start confusing people, you're going to lose them instantaneously. What are you going to be thinking? What's for lunch? How much longer is this movie? I got to get out of here. We need to keep them going. Have you ever sat in a movie that's 3 hours long, but it's amazing and you can't believe 3 hours went by? I can't believe, oh my God, that was 3 hours. But have you ever sat in a movie that's 3 hours long and it feels like 35 hours long? Because it's boring and it's not clear and you're not curious and you haven't been connecting. It makes a big difference in the right hands. It can make a huge difference. So we got connection, curiosity. We talked about character, clarity. Okay, here's the curiosity part. When you say being curious, why? Why are you telling the story? Why does the story need to be told? Well, I really like this kind of thing. Great. That's a perfect why. Well, the story needs to be told. People need to know about this. Great. That's a great why as well. But you need to know the why of your story. It goes back to curiosity. Why? Because I guarantee if you're not asking why, the audience will ask why. Why am I here? Why am I watching this? But sometimes the story's so great, they got to come back and see it again. Think of all the movies you went and saw twice or three times, the ones you watch over and over and over again. Why do you do that? TV shows, whatever it is. Why do you watch them over and over again? I'll tell you why. They got you curious, they satisfy your curiosity, and they connect. They knew their audience. There's clarity. They had great characters. They knew their why. Now, this might not all seem obvious because the good ones don't make it look obvious. The third one is courage, being bold enough to tell the story you want to tell and do what it takes to get it done. We've talked about boldness and courage here quite a bit. You're going to find out that being a storyteller, being an effective one, and being one that is successful takes courage. You can't write that story. Someone will. Or even pitching a movie to a network, or pitching a movie to a movie studio, pitching a TV show to a network takes tons of courage. I've seen some people get up and pitch stuff, and it's amazing to pitch. They're great. They're super great at it, and they flow and they're comfortable and they're confident. And I've seen others just completely die in the vine because they're terrified. You ever been in a situation where you see like a stand-up comic who's great? They're relaxed, they're comfortable, they're telling jokes, it's super easy, and then you see another stand-up comic get up. They're nervous and they're stumbling and they can't tell a joke, and you're nervous for them in the audience and you're feeling uncomfortable. So you'll see that there's a difference when someone has courage and when they don't. And you'll get the courage when you face all the challenges. It's facing the challenge that builds the courage. Being bold enough to tell the story you want to tell and do what it takes to get it done. I had a meeting with someone recently, younger person. They're doing what it takes to get it done. They want to tell this story and they're going for it. It was inspiring to me to see. I'm like, wow, this is great. I'm inspired a lot by the stuff. I mean, I inspire myself a lot. I'm very excited, but it's great to meet other people that are inspired too, because it makes you excited. Get out of your comfort zones. The second time I've said this. Courage, being bold enough to tell the story you want to tell and do what it takes to get it done. Get out of your comfort zone. What zone are you in right now that you're sitting in? And maybe it's amazing. That's why it's called the comfort zone, because it's super comfortable. But in order to get some success, sometimes you've got to be willing to step out. Okay, so think about that. And the last one, what we've talked about, okay, courage, curiosity, connection, we got character, we got clarity, and we got comfort zone. That's another one. And we got creative construct is the last one. The last of the main four. Creative construct, working in a disciplined process to fully develop your story and your skills. I got to ask you this. I'm asking everybody here. Are you disciplined? Do you work on your craft every day? I know a lot of you on here are fans. I know a lot of you are excited to be here because I'm on here and you're a big supporter of my work, and I'm super grateful. I'm so thankful. I'd rather you forego this and be working on your craft. And this is working on your craft right now. That's true. You're on here. You're working on your craft. That's great. But if you're only here because you're a fan, that's awesome. Thank you. But if you're on here and you want to work on your craft, that's what I want to see. I want to see you working on your craft every single day. I don't feel like writing today. Write anyway. I don't feel like drawing today. Draw anyway. Practice. You're never going to get worse if you practice. You'll never get worse. You'll only get better. Creative construct, working in a disciplined process to fully develop your story and your skills. You need to enhance your skill set, just like I had to when I got fired off of My Little Pony back in 1986. My gosh, it was 40 years ago. I can't believe it. Okay, and you must be disciplined. You've got to be disciplined. I put this image of a person in the gym because to me, working out in a gym on a regular basis is a form of discipline. There's many other forms. But when you work out, when you maintain, when you get there, even a gym's a great example of going when you don't feel like it, right? But you know at the end you're going to love the results. You'll love the results of being disciplined, of the creative construct, of being clear, of being connecting with your audience, knowing your audience, having clarity, the curiosity factor, all of that. So we have connecting with an audience. Write that down. Who is your audience? Write that down. Curiosity. Be curious about the world around you and communicate curiosity through your story. I just had a meeting with a guy who met somebody randomly, and this person had an amazing story. And now my friend who I just met with wants to tell this person's story. It's incredible. Because he was curious about it. Why? Why are you telling the story you're telling? Courage to tell it, being bold enough to do what it takes to get it done, get out of your comfort zone, and the creative construct, working in a disciplined process to fully develop your story and your skills. These are just four simple ones, guys. There's so much more in being disciplined, so much more to storytelling. You must increase your skill set. You are the only one who can do it. The only one who can do it is you. I can't do it for you. I can increase my skill set because I'm in control of my skills, but you need to increase yours. And you're the only one who can do it. You only fail if you quit. Four keys: connection, curiosity, courage, creative construct, plus clarity, character, the why, all that stuff we talked about. And we've talked about it so briefly. I have touched so briefly. I wish this webinar was way, way longer. There's so much to talk about. So many things when it comes to storytelling. And there's a lot of things to consider, which is why I've officially relaunched my Art Academy. Maybe you've heard about it. I've talked about it on my Instagram and on my social media. What does this mean for you? I've created some self-paced courses, some coaching packages. They could be group packages or individual. You and I can sit one-on-one, you and me, on a Zoom call, where I can talk you through whatever it is we're working on, whatever you want to work on, or we can do it in groups, or you can take the courses. I have consulting options. I've got community. It's going to bring community to you. There'll be other people involved in these courses that are just like you, that want to tell the stories you want to tell. They want to be working in the entertainment industry, just like you want to work in the entertainment industry. That's why I created this Art Academy, because I wish I had something like this when I was younger, something that I could lean on to get advice, to get community. The community part is huge because if you don't have the community, it's very tricky to be involved in the arts by yourself. You can, But to get something done that's great and big and influential takes a lot of people. Look at the list of credits at the end of any movie, correct? So the Butch Hartman Art Academy is relaunched. It's 100 million times more improved. It's wonderful. It's amazing. I'm celebrating it with an exclusive launch offer. You can scan this QR code and check it out in detail. Leave it up for a second. There's two brand new courses launching tonight, right now, at a bundled rate of $397 for the next 48 hours. You get both modules, both courses for just $397. The courses are regularly $227 each, and we're going to give them both to you for just $397 for the next 48 hours. Don't miss out on this launch offer. Quick to scan the QR code. The link will expire 48 hours from now. The two courses I'm launching right now, one is called Storytelling, one's called Developing an Idea. And there's many videos in each course that walk you through step by step what I'm talking about right here. It's much more in depth than what we've talked about right now. So storytelling and developing an idea. You're going to save over $50 if you get them both today. And I just want to remind you that art gives you power. Use it wisely. I'm so grateful you guys showed up. And now we got time for some Q&A. So my team is going to shoot some questions. I got a bunch of questions here. And someone says right here, here's a very big question. How do I become a better writer? Great question. Um, that's such a gigantically huge question. The first thing I'm going to tell you to do is practice. Practice. Another way is to get my course that we just talked about. It's going to give you a lot of step-by-step thoughts, instruction, and milestones to look for in your writing journey. How do I become a better writer? Keep writing. Keep practicing. It might sound super simple to have this as an answer, but it really truly is. Keep practicing. You're only going to get better if you practice. Here's another question. How do you get connections knowing people in the industry? That is a fabulous question. You got to get out of your comfort zone, which we just covered. You got to get out of your comfort zone. You get connections by, you get connection. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. You get connections by, getting out there and meeting people. There was a time as an artist when I was young. Well, when I was younger, I'd have my headphones in. Every artist out there, if you're on here right now, I'd have my headphones in, I'd be drawing, I'd be in my little cubicle. That was my happy place, my safety zone, right? So I'd be sitting there. And then I really started realizing to meet people, I got to take the headphones out, get up, get away from the drawing table, and go shake somebody's hand and go start meeting people, getting connections. School was a great way to make connections, my school I went to, but then getting job after job. And how did I get those jobs? I applied for the jobs. Is it scary to apply for a job? Yes. Sometimes it can be. Is it intimidating when you show your art portfolio to a potential employer and they go, they make a face like this? Is that scary and intimidating? Absolutely. But what are you going to do? Not get a job? You have to show people what it is you're capable of. And that's going to take you getting out there. So that's how you make connections. And once you start doing it for a little while, it's going to get a lot easier. It can be a lot easier. Here's one. Let's see. Is California really the only place to be successful in the entertainment industry? No. Stepping out of your comfort zone sounds more like a move to California, but you can step out of your comfort zone in your hometown and still make a living writing or creating characters, question mark. Yes. Your comfort zone, you leaving your comfort zone can be leaving your house and just moving to another end of town. Absolutely. You don't need to move just to California. I moved to California. I told you at the beginning, that was my story. I wanted to go to the entertainment industry, and this is where it was in California. But if you want to work in your local town or city and there's something there, that's amazing. That's wonderful. Your I was gonna say your goals will be a little bit different by staying in your town. Your choices might be different than coming to LA. It might be less competitive in your hometown, but there might be less things to do there. I don't know. But yes, this is all about accomplishing your dream no matter where you are. My dream was just to move to California. So that's the example I gave. What's another one here? Let's see. What drove me to create the garden cartoon? Great question. I wanted to do another cartoon for the Christian marketplace because I thought there's some great cartoons out there, but not enough in the Christian marketplace. And I wanted to put a really high quality one out there because I wanted to teach kids the Bible because I wish somebody had taught it to me when I was a kid. So that was my motivation there. So thanks for asking that one. Let's see. Hi, Butch. I'm an upcoming sophomore at Ringling. Congratulations, getting a computer animation degree. But I know I want to be a screenwriter director at some point in my career. Amazing. What can I start doing now to hone my storytelling or writing skills? Okay, perfect. Perfect idea. Write a script and film it. Write a short script and get a camera and film it on YouTube. If you're an animator, getting an animation degree, computer animation, write a short animated film, write a little 2-minute animated film and do it. And let's see what you're made of. Put it on YouTube, put it on your social media. You're only going to know how to do it if you start doing it. Waiting 10, 20 years for someone to say, hey, it's finally time to do that. You're going to be behind a lot of other people who stepped out early and did it. So don't be afraid of that. You can do it. Let me see one. Someone says here, if you can't afford college or struggle to go into it, how would you become a writer? I'd become a writer by I'd begin writing some stories. It depends on what you want to write. You want to write comic books? Start writing one. You want to write novels? Start writing one. You want to write, I don't know what you want to write, short stories, whatever it is, horror stories. I don't know what it is you want to write, but start writing one. Go on a chat room online. There's all kinds of upcoming writer. I don't even know what they're called, but I know there's chat rooms and there's places online for people that are aspiring to do what you want to do. Find that community. We talked about making connections, right? Find that community. Learn how to share ideas. Learn how to share common experiences with those who want to do what you want to do. The community's out there if you look for it. I guarantee you, when I go to these Comic Cons, that's a community. Everybody there loves movies, TV, everything. Everyone's dressed up as their favorite character. You know, those are great places for a community. But go where the community is. You'll be successful that way when you begin to meet people. Here's another one. What keeps me inspired every day? Man, you know what? I just love doing what I do. I love doing it. Plus, I have a company. I love keeping people employed. I love entertaining people. I love I love doing it because it's fun. And let me ask you a question. If you could take a blank piece of paper and draw whatever you wanted on it, wouldn't you be excited? You know, I would be. I am excited. I get to draw what I want every day. I get to write things down every day. And by the way, out of every 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 drawings I do, an idea comes out of one of them. And why not? Every time you come up with an idea, I call that money in the bank. You might have an idea that's not for now, but maybe it's for later when you start getting more connections and more resources in your pocket and in your stable of tools to use. You might just have these amazing resources, and maybe your idea is not for right now, but maybe 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road, that idea will show up. It'd be time to make it. I'm not saying to wait that long, but sometimes it takes time for your idea to come to fruition, but keep coming up with stuff. It's only going to happen if you sit down and do it. Walking around upset that no one's noticed your genius isn't really good for anybody. Keep doing stuff and get a YouTube channel going. I tell people all the time to get a YouTube channel going because it's free, number one, and it'll really prove what you're made of. If you post and do it on a dedicated basis every day or every 3 days or whatever, it'll really show what kind of dedicated worker you are. So think about that too. Here's another one. What artist is my biggest influence? Wow, I got so many of them. I showed you a couple of them. Tex Avery was one as a cartoonist. I really love, as far as artists go, Bruce Timm, who created the Batman anime. Didn't create it, but he designed the Batman animated TV series back in the 90s. Great artist. I love a couple of comic book artists. I love one guy named Alex Ross is great. John Byrne, I loved, another comic artist. I loved Walt Disney. One of my biggest influences, Chuck Jones, even Hanna and Barbera, who did Tom and Jerry. Love them. Those kind of people just really, really inspire me. Let's see. In today's day and age, with the enormous amount of content, creators, authors, and artists, is traditional publishing or producing still the way to go? Or should amateurs focus on self-publishing? I would say this, whatever gets you out there is what you should do. If you have a chance to work with a professional publisher, by all means do it. By all means, but make sure you get a lawyer to look over the contract. But if you're waiting around for a publisher to again recognize your book and you've been getting rejection letter after rejection letter or waiting and waiting, self-publish your book. You can do it on Amazon now, no problem. Self-publish it and see if people like it. You got to be your own editor, and you got to put the book together, and you got to choose a cover, and then you got to go through Amazon self-publishing. I believe there's some other companies that self-publish too, but give it a try. Why not? What do you have to lose by doing that? Is what I always say. Um, let's see. What was the writing like for Fairly Odd Parents and the other shows you wrote for? Well, these are big questions. Um, what are some of the things I did when I wrote? It was great. We had a writer's room. We had like 5 or 6 people in the room coming up with ideas all day long. What if Timmy did this? What if Cosmo did that? What if Wanda did this? That's cool. Then we would talk about it and then we'd throw jokes around. And sometimes we'd have a great story and sometimes we wouldn't. But it took work. Okay, that's the beginning of the story, but I like the ending. What kind of ending could we have? You're sitting there and you're struggling for an ending, and we finally get something that we like, and then we have the storyboard artist draw it out, and then we look at the storyboard going, okay, I thought that joke would work, but it doesn't. Let's fix that. Writer, stay behind. Let's look at this art. And we'd fix the writing, fix the story. It's all a trial and error process until you come up with something that you like. And the TV process is interesting because you're always on a schedule. You don't have endless amounts of time. You have maybe 2 weeks to write a script. So it means idea, outline, script in 2 weeks. Then you got to go to the next one because I have a recording I got to do to get the actors in there to record it. Then it's got to go to the storyboard artist. Then it's got to be animated. So it's all on a deadline. This is where you really become a professional when you have a deadline and make it happen that way. Deadlines, the studio has a schedule. The studio is spending money on you to produce a product. That's why you are called a producer because you produce the product. And so everyone wants to be a producer, but then until they realize the work it takes. So, keep in mind, this is work. Not any of this is easy, guys. And I'm just so grateful that you're all here. One more question here. I'll do one or two more questions. Let's see. How do I create a story that grabs the reader's attention without letting go? Boy, that's a big question. Here's exactly what you do. Well, how do I create a story that grabs the reader's attention without letting go? Simple. What type of story are you trying to tell? You've got to keep the mystery going. You've got to keep the audience guessing. And you're only going to learn how to do that by practicing. Have you written a story like that ever? Do you like any stories like that? What novels do you like? What movies do you like that keep you guessing? Look at those stories, see how they're constructed, and try and construct one on your own, just like that. I mean, don't take the exact idea. Okay, that had that element. Okay, the character did this in that part. That was a cool reveal. Think about those types of things and see what you can come up with. Let's see. How can I develop my own signature art style? I mostly draw tutorial art, fan art, original character art. I never redraw on a few digital artwork. How can I develop my own signature art style? Simple. Keep practicing. When I did Fairly Odd Parents, I'd never drawn that way before ever. I was always working for another studio. So when you work for another studio, when you first get into the business, you're going to be working for other people. You'll be working on, SpongeBob. We'll be working on, Avatar, whatever show it is you get hired on. You'll be working on that show. You've got to draw like that show, correct? So you have to learn how to draw like that show. And that's what I had to do for many years, working on other people's shows. When I finally sold my own show, I wanted it to look different than every other show I'd worked on. So I worked hard to develop a style. So it just takes practice, takes work. All of this takes work, guys. All of it takes practice. Um, let's see. Oh, here's one. How does one start their career after college? I would assume that means an entertainment career. And I would assume, I don't even know what you're going to college for, but let's just say you're going to college for animation. You need to look and see what animation studios are hiring. Because now that you're out of college, you're in the grown-up world. And I say this a lot, adults get results. It's time to become an adult. When you're out of school, you now have to take all that money you spent on college and begin earning it back. I hope that degree is going to pay off for you because I know it will. It will pay off, but it's going to take you searching for a job, searching for an opening somewhere. And then once you get the job, being able to fulfill the job and do a great job making the life of those people. You need to make their life easier. Every time I hire somebody, I always think to myself, they have to make my life easier. When you're an employee, your job is to make the employer's job easier. Okay, you're there to help them and make the product come out amazing. Let's see. We'll do one more question. Let's see. Let me see. My question would be, oh, here we go. My question would be, once you have a pitch and a portfolio to show off, where would you find authentic places and or people to send your stuff to? That takes connections right there. That takes being in the industry. That takes being immersed in the industry, knowing who's buying, who who's looking. And by the way, getting an agent or a manager, I talk all about this stuff in my course, guys. The course we just talked about. Uh, the Successful Storyteller is what it's called. The offer I just gave you with the QR code. Look at that QR code. I want you to scan it. I want you to get my course because the course, I'm going to talk in great detail about all of these things, finding a buyer, coming up with a pitch, coming up with connections, structuring your scripts, how to become a better writer. I talk about all of this. And that's why I made all this. You know, I could have made a course about drawing, and I'm going to do that. But I really felt led to make a course about storytelling because that's one of the things people ask me about the most. You might not be able to draw, but everybody can write a story. So think about that. Okay. Hey, everybody, look, I'm so grateful that you came on today. I really hope this webinar helped you. It's going to be recorded. You can watch this webinar over and over on my website, butchhartman.net. Check it out. Go to my Butch Hartman Art Academy Instagram and check that out. I will be talking about these courses for a long time. We have different modules and courses coming out over the course of the next many months. But the first two, storytelling and developing an idea, are available now. And you save $50 if you get them both now. And the link will expire in 48 hours. So please take advantage of that. I really hope I've answered your questions, gang. And I've had such a great time. And I want to thank my team for helping out. I want to thank all of you for asking all your amazing questions and everything. It's been absolutely great. And so I just want to leave you with my slogan that I say all the time. It's art gives you power, use it wisely. And I will see you guys later.